The initial meeting that I had for Freak Show was with Ryan Murphy, and it was specifically for Sarah Paulsen's character, which was the conjoined twins, Dot and Bet. So the initial meeting was just, can we do it? Is it possible? Why don't you go away and have a week to do some designs, and let's see if it's something that we want to approach. They're actually a very complicated character. It's a combination between visual effects and practical effects. The practical effect element, which is what we created, was actually creating 2 animatronic heads, which is a fully mechanical radio-controlled head. That whole process started with a live cast of her, so we took a silicone impression of her face and head, and from that actually created a duplicate copy of her head that we could sculpt an additional neck and partial chest that wrapped around her shoulders, and that was repeated on the opposite side. So both were identical setups, just slightly different looks for each character for Dot and Bet.
A lot of it was driven by makeup and what they felt they could do on set, because we didn't want the photography to be really encumbered by the process. I mean, we knew it was going to be a technical process, but we wanted to be as free as we could in how we shoot the show.
We knew ahead of time that a lot of close-up shots would just be sort of a split-screen visual effects type shot, where Sarah would shoot one side with a little green head, and then she would shoot the other side with a little green head, and then they would marry the two together.
We evolved that a little bit of whether she wanted the green head or nothing, and what we could do with the camera and what we could do with her. And by the end of the season, she was walking and sitting down, and that was all kind of working. I think earlier in the season, we were a little nervous about doing some of the more complicated stuff, but for this, there's a great scene where she's sitting opposite Dandy having dinner, and she clinks her glasses together, and poor Sarah she'd have acting one character on this side in the hand of a different character, which had completely different body language, and being able to put all that stuff together. And when it came together, it was really fun to see that character kind of come to life.
Modern technology has really changed our industry quite a bit, and especially working with visual effects companies has changed it quite a bit. Now we work hand in hand with visual effects more often than not, and with that we've brought in 3D scanning capabilities, we brought in 3D printing, brought in 3D designers, and it allows us to create a better pipeline between visual effects and practical effects, physical effects.
The challenge in American Horror Story is always turning around an episode that's up to our standards and up to Ryan's standards every week. By the time we get into a season, we'll turn around an episode a week in post. The fact that we can render and we can approach things so quickly really has enabled the kind of birth of visual effects in television that we've seen in the last 10 years.
A lot of times, the technology actually helps us a lot. We can create things that are completely symmetrical, highly machined-looking parts that we would have never been able to create by hand. And then in some aspects, if we're doing something that has to have perfect skin texture, a lot of times it doesn't work, and it's better to have an artisan do that by hand in clay.
So to be able to do that and to be able to have all these different departments work together, and things that you think kind of like, oh yeah, that'll be kind of fun, and you see it just materialize in front of your eyes, like the wings in Asylum that Franny wore, the black wings that came out, and just a couple of the gags in Freak Show that we looked at and went, oh hey, that worked really well, and people really responded to it. Kind of doesn't matter how you get there. That's sort of why we all show up every day.